not an additional, like, so if we're spending $9,000 to the cyber school.
Well, let me finish my comment first. Since cyber charter students are considered LASD students, which is why
No,
LASD,
they're not.
well, that's why we pay their tuition.
They're not considered inner school district students. They're totally different, all their policies, procedures are different, all their testing, they have.
Yes, but we pay their tuition because
Right,
they
but they're
live
not-
here.
But they're not considered our student as a district, they're not considered a district student. They're considered a student of that school that they're attending.
Well, their parents pay taxes to support the district. And the district receives state funding for each student enrolled in cyber charter schools. Do they not?
No. We do not receive any funding for students attending charter schools.
So then,
We get zero funding. That was cut back in the Corbett, when he was the governor.
oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I thought that we
Am I
still
speaking?
receive.
I want to make sure.
Yes, correct.
Because my understanding was that as far as the funding per student goes, that the district retains 30% and 70% goes towards tuition.
No,
That is very accurate.
Okay, I'll have to do some more research on that. As far as, well, that's the rest, because I would have thought the 30% retained would cover.
I wish you were correct. I would,
This is how, I mean, when I looked online, this is how it was said, because I know that the funding formula was discussed, and they are working on redoing the funding formula for cyber charter.
there's discussions, but nothing has changed.
Well, that's going to take 10 years, because it's the government.
So the way that formula is calculated, the way the tuition rate is calculated is basically, it's a PDE form, and we put in our total expenditures, and then we deduct certain items from those expenditures, and it's divided by our average daily membership,
Okay.
and it drives out a rate for a regular ed student and a special ed student. And then if one of those students were to go to charter school, that's what we pay 100%.
So it's the taxpayer supporting the entire tuition?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's not, there's no state
And
funding?
in addition, once they enroll in charter school, they're no longer in our PIMS reporting system, so we no longer get any kind of funding for those students.
Okay. That's interesting. Thank you for the clarification. I will have to rethink my position.
Mrs. Stiller?
Hi. I have a question that pertains to the assistant superintendent contract. Being that Ms. Howland is the high school principal, and she will be the assistant superintendent, will she be getting paid? How's she getting paid? Is she getting paid for both jobs?
It's a prorated of the salary, so the recommendation is part of the salary. So it'll be an increase from what she's currently. No, it's,
Okay, 'cause-
she's not getting a salary.
well, we all want to know that, so I mean, I'm figuring I'll ask. I have no
She would
problem.
probably prefer that, but that is not.
I just, my other question, for this, the extracurricular activity participant charge. So if you're in you're homeschooling your kid, I mean homeschooling, not CCA, not whatever else. Are you gonna have to pay that all out of your pocket?
No, homeschooling is totally different than cyber school. Homeschooling is there's no charge, it's, the tuition, you just have certain criteria. You have to meet, develop a portfolio, there's a whole other homeschooling program. That is completely separate from the cyber charter. And they could participate in any of our activities. The only thing different is they're not physically here in school, so they're eligible for everything.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
So thank you. It's nice to see everybody out here this evening. I'd like to see this continued throughout. I think it's great that people are getting involved in the process here. Just want to ask, was a special board meeting at all requested prior to this meeting by anybody?
Not that I.
Okay. Might have been a good idea, just knowing that parents will have to decide by tomorrow whether or not their children are going to go to LAVA or not. And they only have that little amount of time.
We did have that discussion about extending
Oh, okay, yeah.
We already talked about that internally, depending on that, that being the case.
Thank you, appreciate that. I had a hard time finding the agenda online today. Was there any particular reason for
It's
that?
it's under board docs, so if you scroll down on the front thing, you click on board docs, you click on public site, it'll be.
So I went, I clicked on board meeting for 2021, and all it had was July up there. It was not up there.
No, that's not Word docs.
Well, it's not board.
It's a new platform. Yeah, it's a new platform. So if you look at the right-hand side of our website where all the little blocks are, the very top one says board docs, you click on that, public site. Yep.
It's in quick links on the main thing, on the district website.
Website?
Board.
Can that be linked?
So it's not where all the other agendas are?
No.
No, okay.
Right here. Right there.
Yep, okay. Fair enough, thank you.
Where'd you go?
But it could be linked to the meeting notice next time. That would be helpful.
That's
7:37, the minute 7:37 p.m.
7:37. So under financial matters, letter P, we've done more roofing, additional money. Why was our bid 25% more than what we budgeted for?
That budget was from prior reviews from Tremco, and that was what the bid contract and the bid documents that we got, that was our lowest bid for the bid improvements.
Okay, that's a far cry off 25% of your total cost and additional money, so.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of supply and demand there too, because even on that, when we wanted that to get done as soon as possible, they even put in there depending on availability of product and those things.
It's a supply chain issue.
Is it something that needs to be done now, or can it wait till the price of lumber and things come down? Okay.
Should have been done years ago.
So under personnel, letter C, looks like we're back to changing the business affairs, human resources job description after just approving it last meeting. Any
That was
particular reason?
125% my fault. I had the wrong listing there. It was an error of mine. I had the right one. I did not give it to Janine. I thought I did, and I didn't give it the revised copy, so I take full responsibility for that.
Okay, so the change in requirements.
That one was supposed to be there, and I missed it.
Because I know we talked a lot about best practice last meeting,
And then that's another.
it seems like,
It was nobody else's fault at this table or anywhere else.
no, I understood, but it seems like to everyone, at least to myself here, it seems like we're writing a job description for a person rather than writing a job
It was
description
done
for a job. So-
It was done once prior to that, and I just did not hit when I submitted for the agenda, it was on the revised copy.
And is the online curriculum up yet? Because I didn't seem to be able to find anything under the.
I don't believe it's up. I think they were working on it.
Time frame on that?
Teachers will get back to you. I would give it time for teachers to get back, because we're asking,
We're
teachers
asking
to work on that as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
Perfect.
asking for it.
And they don't start back to next Tuesday.
okay. Thank you very much.
Bradley?
I think
Just for
What?
now, right? Or do you want it for that in meeting as well, sir?
So, what did you say about the curriculum?
You think curriculum is
I couldn't hear it.
I said teachers will be helping working in curriculum, and teachers will start back next week, so that'll be an ongoing process, as you've asked to do with upgrading the curriculum online. You're welcome. No problem, I'm not doing my math. Little pun there, sorry.
I found that myself. Okay, so under the assistant superintendent position that is new, it is said to be replacing a lower position, the assistant to the superintendent position that was identified as not even being found in the Pennsylvania School Code. The district is extremely top-heavy, and some staff have identified that the classrooms lack supplies for our students. So the first question should be, does the board need a new position? Prior to this action being presented to the board, the issue needs to be reviewed by the public in committee meetings. The duties of the new position need to be well-defined and reviewed by the public. The applicant requirements and experience need to be developed within public view. And then and only then can the government that works for the public and advertise the position for hire and publicly seek applicants. After the board collects the applications and proper hiring processes can be established, the best candidate that meets the requirements can be hired for the best interest of the agency. Yes, hiring from within is beneficial, but that cannot supersede the need to hire the best candidate. If the board sheds the cronyism that is on display in the past, the public and the rest of the staff can respect the process, and the person hired can be well respected for being the best of the applicants that apply. The idea of the administration telling the board it needs an assistant superintendent, making a recommendation and offering a contract without peer review is as corrupt as it gets. This board's power is dated and will, I'm sorry, I'll read my own typing here. The board's power is dated, and to circumvent proper protocols, best practices, and coordinate someone in haste is counterproductive. The election will take place in November. No need to rush all this through, especially with Mr. Tack not leaving until near December. This community needs to restore a proper, lawful government, one that honors their oath of office and acts for the people they were elected to serve, and not serve the subordinates they were elected to oversee. The key question on masks is whether or not this local board has the legal authority to mandate masking. There's absolutely no reference in the Pennsylvania School Code to the wearing of masks. The law does not have to say you can't do something, but the law does have to say you have the power to do something. We have a limited government in America. Since the code lacks the authority, this is really a parental decision. The law has specifically given the board the power and authority to take official actions as government. The lack of giving the board authority is not an approval for the board, and to overreach its authority would be an abuse of power. Since the code does not say we can legally do it, and the state didn't issue a mandate, but rather left the mask issue to parental control, this board should not take that responsibility. This is a personal parental decision. Not only should parents teach their children the benefits of personal protective equipment like masks, but they should also educate them as to the many different types of masks, ratings, and the sizes and types of particulate that each one is filtered. The same goes for safety glasses and face shields. The nose and olfactory receptor neurons are amazing. For example, at work, we learned that you can detect ammonia at less than 5 parts per million. And that's a pretty small particulate, 100 times bigger than a virus. The challenge that I present to anyone is to put on a mask and enter a pizza shop, a farmer's market, or a public restroom wearing a mask and tell me that their mask blocks enough particulate to render their room odorless. The mask issues cause pits of fear against science. These commercially made masks, like an N95 mask, protects the wearer from large particulate when compared to a virus, and only if the seal is made. We get fit tested at work to wear a mask. The ones with a vent were made for adults to breathe easier. And those masks have no effect for the other person in the position that you're trying to present them in this venue. If the district is going to exceed its authority and mandate masks, it should also do a few things. It should identify the acceptable mask by rating and advise the length of time it can be worn before replacement. It should allow parents the opportunity to provide a valid objection, and if they have a belief to opt out, they should have that right, just like the state provides for other mandates. If the masks are mandated, this district government needs to identify the penalties for non-compliance and how they're going to be applied. Because if you restrict the student from getting an education in this school, we have the responsibility to provide a free public education, and now you're opened up to a whole bunch of lawsuits. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to read an email that we received from Carrie Kenny Kenny, who is the social worker of the Hayden Area School District, and I thought it was important for everyone to know. We talked a little bit about the academic adventures camp that took place this summer, and I think it's important for these people to get some credit for their hard work, and Carrie Kenny beat me to it. This is from Carrie Kenny to myself and Mr. Tack. I wanted to take a moment to first thank you for the opportunity to work during our first academic and adventures camp. The camp itself was a great opportunity to help meet the various needs of many of our students, academically, socially, emotionally. Students had a chance to interact with each other, and it is probably safe to say several long-lasting friendships were made. The staff did an awesome job executing their own crafts, academic lessons, activities, and games, and they were an awesome group to work with. None of it, however, would have been possible without the tireless effort and dedication exemplified by both Callie Andrew and Rachel Quinn. Callie Andrew is our high school nurse, and Rachel Quinn is our phys ed teacher at the middle school. With little time, they planned, shot for, and scheduled fun and engaging opportunities for our students on a daily basis. They laid the foundation of what is sure to be a great camp in years to come, and they deserve the recognition for their contribution and hard work. I hope to be able to work with them again during camp next year. Thank you. And then again, regarding that, and again, we've had several emails, but that was the most recent one. And I know online we're also posting updates as well regarding the camps that were taking place this summer. I just wanted to update the board. I did send an email out to the board regarding the timeline for the elementary center closeout. I do have a lengthy document to read here, so I ask everyone to bear with me, just because I wanted to break down every area that was still open. The MTS permit, which is the permit for stormwater, the district did receive a letter dated 3/3/21 from the Hardin County Conservation District that the permit was set to expire at 6/6/21. Final submission was submitted to the county on 3/29/21 for the notice of termination to terminate the permit. The district received a letter. Dated August 4th, 2021, that the final inspection was completed on site here August 3rd of 2021, and the permit for stormwater discharge has been terminated effective receipt of the notice. So that part, that was still open area, has been completed. Fire lane request from the borough. As mentioned in prior meetings, this part of the project is not part of the finalized and approved plans. Once the project was complete and the building occupied, a request, not requirement, from the borough came in September of 2019 to develop a plan that altered the approved striping plans to include fire lane. Within that letter we received from the borough, it mentioned that placing of a designated fire lane would take away spaces from special event parking and cause the project not to comply with the zoning ordinance and or the approved plans. In May, when this issue was brought up again as a concern, our civil engineer began working with the fire chief to establish a plan that will meet the requests of the borough and fire chief in relation to the fire lane. On May 18th, our civil engineer reached out to the borough for clarification in an effort to meet the request for the fire lane. On that same day, the approved site plans were submitted to the fire chief for review and comment. Again, the issue we struggled with was trying to avoid elimination of event parking spaces. As much discussion, we, the district and fire chief, have developed a striping plan that meets the requirements of the borough and does not eliminate any event parking. That additional fire lane striping is scheduled to begin this week, August 23rd, 2021, now that all summer camps are complete. I would like to thank the fire chief and our engineers for working together to develop a plan that meets the request from the borough and does not require any reduction in the approved event parking spaces. So that discussion, I know is here, and a lot of them is here from the borough, so I just wanted to give an update regarding that as well. The as-built easement descriptions. Going back to February last year, there was discussion with the water authority, and that discussion with their engineer requested clarification on several of the water lines. As we are all aware, shortly after that in March, everything came to a standstill, not only in the education field, but in every business across the Commonwealth. In recent months, we have been working to prepare the as-built easements for the submission and review. The final documents have all been submitted to the borough as of Tuesday, August 17th of last week, and I did talk to Nicole, the borough manager, and they are in review from the borough's team. Again, we want to notify the community that we're working on getting the final paperwork submitted to close out the project, and we are not ignoring the request for documents from the borough, whether it be from the approved plans or the request made after the final approval was reviewed. So that is an update of all the requirements as part of the closeout of the elementary center, and also wanted to just let everyone know that again, this was not anything building related. It all was paperwork, and of course the fire lane, I guess that would be building related. But everything inside and everything, so there's no, nothing in question that was inside the building or the outside other than the fire lane.
Mr. Cleaver, you read that letter. Why wasn't this put with part of our agenda so the public could have a copy of it prior to the meeting so they could have read it
Because I just finished and confirmed everything before the meeting.
today? All right. We really should provide public information to the public.
Also, as well, I just wanted to comment on many of these individuals are here regarding the health and safety plan. Again, this recommendation is a recommendation from the administration to the board. This recommendation did not come without numbers and numbers of meetings, hours and hours of information shared and reviewed. And also, as recently as today, I submitted a, I'll call it white paper, to the board from St. Luke's and also other local medical agencies recommending that universal mask coverings does take place. So I know some of the questions were about us being medical professionals. We are not. However, we do have school nurses and certified nurses on our team, and that is why we refer to Lehigh Valley, and we also refer to St. Luke's for medical information. And this recommendation is supported by them when it comes to universal mask wearing. So again, we are going back and forth. There's a lot of discussions. I can tell you in my own household, my wife, who is a teacher, and I as a superintendent do not agree with many things. It's just being another one. However, with that being said, I feel as a superintendent referencing and referring to the medical professionals, which I am not, or any other administrator is not. That is why we have made this recommendation as well. And I can tell you that it did not come without a lot of discussion and a lot of concern on many, many avenues, but I don't want the community to think that this is just something that we just developed on our own. We work with medical professionals when we make these recommendations.
So when are we going to know?
What's that?
When are we going to know? I need to prepare my child for whatever's going on.
There's a proposal on this.
Then know tonight?
So we're gonna know tonight?
It'll get a vote either for
And
the
you're
health
gonna
and
provide any other schooling if we choose not to send our child to your school because you want to mask them?
we have a lava program which
That's
would be an
it.
option for you. That
Yes,
is the alternate. That is the
So I'm
alternate.
speaking directly about this because I pay you my tax money.
Right.
And now my child is gonna get denied public
That is
school.
not, I didn't, I'm here to explaining to the community and to the public why we're making this recommendation. I'm not even,
Do
you
you
know, there's a
have
lot of,
data numbers?
all the medical information does have resources.
Now, what happens
Where are
I
if
can
there's
tell you,
a
I
case
can
of
tell
that?
you as of Thursday at our meeting, as Thursday of our meeting, I can tell you that they did confirm that there was teenagers in health things this month due to COVID. And I can tell
Okay,
you,
well, why isn't it in this packet?
what is it?
Your data, where is
I
your
just
data?
got the information today and gave it to the board.
Well, you're ready to
I
make a
had
decision
that information
tonight.
on Monday. What happens if we send our kids with their
This
mask?
last
Are you
weekend,
gonna
I
call
had
us and come and pick them up? Are you gonna
Listen,
deny us to walk in
again,
and
this
say,
is very-
any education?
I'm not going to get into an argument going back and forth. I'm just letting the public know this is where the recommendation is coming from.
Yes,
This is
it's
why
a
it's coming.
recommendation.
Exactly.
If
That
you
is
want to
correct.
listen to Lehigh Valley and St. Luke's, why don't you listen to some of the other scientists that are also out
They
there?
are
And
local
those
health.
doctors
They
that are
are
out there.
local health.
Are they wrong
They are.
because
local
they
health
don't
providers.
agree?
I'm not saying anyone's I'm answering the question where the recommendation is coming
Hey,
from.
what about the kids who
the-
legitimately have like social anxiety?
I am
My
not,
daughter cannot walk into a room right now with people, let alone, she should have the right to just say, yes, I need a mask.
again,
Okay, so are we gonna know tonight, we're starting school in how many days? How many days? And this is where we're at.
Yes.
Well, I need time to work with my child
It'll
to
be
be
for
able to
this.
do this.
Right.
It's
It'll be
funny
for this
how school ends and it's parents' choice and school starts and now it's a
This
mandate.
is not,
That's pathetic.
I'm answering the question of
Because I got
where the recommendation.
And stand up and do something. Seriously.
You have my recommendation. The
Make
board-
it parents' choice.
The board has
Stand up and do it.
That is not my recommendation to this board.
I move this matter be moved ahead on the agenda so that people can spend the time in the evening.
This is the biggest thing on the agenda.
That is correct. I already
Now,
have
can I ask just one
It is
question?
important. No, I just want, again, I think it's important for people to understand that this isn't, I'm not here to argue, I'm not here to get loud, I'm not here, you asked the question where the recommendation comes from. The administration is working with the local medical officials And this is the recommendation. Today, they recommended, today the recommendation came that school starts with the universal masking for the first 4 to 6 weeks, and that, after that, it is reevaluated.
The board doesn't have to agree with that.
Ma'am, I'm not saying that you
You
are
don't
not.
have to agree with that.
Like the whole day, they're not gonna
We are-
break you because.
There will be mass breaks, outdoor activities.
Why are we
they
the
will not
only
be
school
done.
district
Their
that is
whole-
trying to do this? Palmerton's optional, Jim Thorpe, Weatherly, Panther Valley, why are we the
Everybody's
only
optional.
school district?
No, they're not, everybody's not optional.
Yes, they are.
Not, right now they are, however, if you, down in the other valleys as well, school districts are not all optional. There is districts that have.
Yeah, school ended, it was optional, now school starts, now they'll make
Again,
it work.
again,
And summertime, they don't need to work.
all we're doing is answering the question, and here's the other part of it too. I think it's important to know that as a district in the state of Pennsylvania, the Heighton Area School District was one of the only districts to be able to be in-person K to 8 every day. So I think we made a lot of strides, we did a lot of good things and a lot of efforts. Wearing the masks right now is the only way that we could guarantee that our students will be in face-to-face, because the way it works, which a lot of people don't understand, if I am a parent and I choose, if I'm a student, my parents send me with a mask. Mr. Stern's parent says, you're not wearing a mask. Mr. Stern ends up, we get notified that he's COVID positive. In the quarantine requirement, even though I have my mask on, I am required to quarantine. So I'm going to be.
That's what doesn't make sense. The mask is to protect you.
But
If
again,
you choose
these
to wear
are
one, then
not,
wear one.
we don't-
If you don't, then don't.
we have to follow the guidelines for quarantine. We don't have flexibility.
Yeah, you have to follow the guidelines so you can get your money. That's what it's all about.
I have to
That's exactly what it's all about.
The key word here is guidelines, they're not mandated,
They're not.
CDC is guidelines.
Again, this is a recommendation from the administration and working with the local health officials. That's where the
I have a
recommendation.
question. Have you guys received any money from St. Luke's or Lehigh Valley Hospitals?
Lehigh Valley Hospital, we have, yes.
Okay, who provides the nurses for the school
The
district?
district, their own nurses.
So you hire your own, you're not getting into the hospital? So what does the hospital get out of giving you guys money?
It's an advertising agreement. They get money because they advertise on facilities.
So their logo's on your website or something, or?
Around the buildings and other things. And they give us money because we contract with them for their sports medicine providers. But as far as mental health too.
How much money will the school lose if we all homeschool our kids?
Homeschool?
Yeah, if we all choose not to send our kids to school, how much money do you lose?
How much do you lose?
How much do you lose?
Is it gonna cost you, like?
You don't lose nothing, or you lose it all?
I think it's important to understand that maybe the other, views too, that what if we aren't doing this? Again, I know there's a group of people here and I understand, but I can tell you, when you look at the emails and things that we provided, it
There's
was
a whole lot
probably.
more of us though.
The money,
Yeah, find emails.
I don't know, I'm just saying, the question I'm answering is where did the recommendation come from? The recommendation has come from the administration.
Why can't they take the mask off at their desk, just like at a restaurant? That's okay, all across the world, it's okay to take the mask off at a restaurant.
But they can't in
see
school.
it, because COVID can't get you then. But our
I'm
kids
not-
can get it
again,
in the
I
classroom.
just want
So
everyone.
work with us, let them take it off at the desk.
Yes.
People always wear your mask, but at the desk and they're 6 feet apart and social distancing, remove it.
so to be clear, the money follows the student.
I don't see anyone
The money
wearing masks
follows-
here.
If you take your student to a charter school, the money for the educational portion follows that student. If you take them somewhere else, it goes straight back to
Yeah,
them.
but it's homeschool.
No.
Schools,
That's
people-
different.
People need interaction with other people.
I agree.
Kids need interaction with other
And
kids.
that's what this
We are not
recommendation
made
is
to
trying
live
do.
in a cave. I want to know what number of children this year actually really failed. Because I know everybody passed. How many students in your family?
No, that is not the case. I can tell
We
you.
are on a watch list from the state of Pennsylvania for our lack of providing education.
Because I know a lot of kids who did actually fail, but it was the parents' decision to hold the kid back.
We'll pick
So-
this discussion up again when this agenda item next up.
I would like to say something though before we go on, because Mr. Bradley mentioned that it is illegal for any school district to mandate masks. And as of August 6th, at the Senate Education Committee meeting, that is where they had declared that. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yes. So how do you?
It's really underneath the fact that the school code does not allow, if the school code does not empower the board to make that decision, they can't make that decision. They don't have that
That's
authority.
education committee, that's just coming out of committee.
Yeah, but the state law, the state itself did not mandate masks in schools. And it left it up to the individual districts.
Right.
But the authority was found by other solicitors that since it's not enumerated in the code that you have this power, you don't have it. The people do.
I'm going to move on to the agenda.